I spent 5 years working with Democrats, trying to pull them to the center. And I had a lot of behind-the-scenes conversations with people. Virtually none of them public, because virtually no one would talk to me publicly.
Are we talking about politicians?
Yes. Yes, and many of them. Many of them. And I asked them all, on the Democrat side, I asked them all the same question. When does the left go too far? Because obviously the left can go too far. And none of them would answer. And so...
Really?
Not one. Not one. Dead serious.
In private?
In private as well.
Come on.
No, I'm telling you the truth.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we have our boy Jordan Peterson, and he's going to absolutely school Bill Maher here. This clip is from Bill Maher's latest episode. I'll link the full episode at the bottom. It's actually decent. You guys should go watch it. Let's get into the clip.
When you're not fully on the woke train, you are somehow just thrown all the way across the field into that bin. That's what bothers me about the way people react to you. It's like, and me.
I have some objections to it too.
Yeah, and me. You know, it's like it's just
how's that going for you?
So
because
childish.
You've been
it's so naive and childish.
You've been standing up to the woke mob more and more.
Of course.
And so what's been the consequence? Not of course. Not many people are doing that.
No, you're right. Well, the consequence is some people left the building. I can't give an estimate, and I don't care, and I don't miss them. Other people joined. Like, there's a lot of people in this country who are tired of the hate and the hating, and I am one of them. I don't want to hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country. I would never vote for Trump, and I think he's an abomination. And Kamala, you know, do I have to love everything? No. And it's fine. And I thought she was great last night, and I can't be more thrilled that I would put my money on that she's going to win the election. But I don't hold my tongue about what is insane about the other side, because it is. It's not nearly as threatening as not conceding elections, which Trump does not do. So that's where I am on that. But I also understand that Trump, I think, will go away after this. I think he's kind of finally reached his Joe McCarthy stage where it's like people are tired of it. It just took longer. But Trumpism won't go away. And I would define Trumpism as a fear of the insanity of the far left, which is not completely unjustified. And therefore, anyone is better than that. And Trump proves it, because he is that anyone. If he's okay, if he, in all his monstrosity, is still better than what you fear about the left, that's a problem the left has to deal with. It would be so easy. This thing I just mentioned about Colombia, where they were saying we want to eradicate the United States as it is. How about pick some Democratic politician, pick that as your Sister Soldier moment. Remember Sister Soldier? That's what Clinton, he made a thing about a rapper who had said, we should take a week out and just kill white people. Now, no one was...
It'd take longer than a week.
It would take... Exactly. But she said...
She's just not committed to the task.
She was being reasonable. She said, just take a week. Okay. And nobody really took this seriously. He purposely picked on that. And someone could do that. Does anybody think most kids in America want to eradicate America? Of course not. But just pick out something to signal to the middle of this country, we're not as crazy as the super crazies on the far left. Just pick it. That's a Sister Soldier moment. We don't want to eradicate America, okay? So Trumpism will not, they will find someone.
You know,
they will find another Trump. It's not really just him. As long as there's things that scare them about the things you've gotten in trouble with, gender, and the, you know, the hysterics about racism, not that it isn't a real thing, but all this, you know, freedom of speech issues, parenting issues, all these things that really scare them. And again, not completely without justification.
Well, there's plenty of reason to be scared of the radical left.
That's what I'm saying. Until you take care of that problem, they will always come up with a Trump.
That's not a bad take by Bill Maher when he said they're going to find another Trump. They need someone to blame, because the same way they're attacking Trump now and they're saying, oh, this guy's a threat to democracy, we got to stop Trump. This rhetoric that they keep on spit allows them to avoid all policy conversations whatsoever. They're just using fear-mongering and scaring people, or trying to scare people, I should say, that Trump is like this evil man. And look, listen, we've had 4 years of the guy as president, and we'd had almost 4 years of Kamala in the administration. Make your choice. Look, by every measurable metric, when was America better? And it was clearly better under Trump. This is not even me being biased here. This is facts. But they want to find someone to blame. They want to point the finger at somebody. This is how their ideology works. And guys, if you don't mind smashing that thumbs up button for me at this point, really appreciate it. Let's get back to it.
So
That's it.
I spent 5 years working with Democrats, trying to pull them to the center. And I had a lot of behind-the-scenes conversations with people, virtually none of them public, because virtually no one would talk to me publicly.
Are we talking about politicians?
Yes, yes, and many of them. And I asked them all, on the Democrat side, I asked them all the same question, purposefully. And I asked this to RFK too. When does the left go too far? Because obviously the left can go too far. And none of them would answer. And so,
Really?
not one. Dead
In
serious.
private?
In private as well.
Come
Yeah.
on.
No, I'm telling you the truth. And
I know some people who would answer that.
Well, look, it's also, I stopped doing a fair bit of that about a year and a half ago. And things have changed. There are more people on the moderate Democrat side who are willing to draw a line with regard to the radical leftists, but they're still not very good at defining it. So they'd reverse the question and ask me, like, when do you think they go too far? And I thought that was simple. It's like equality of outcome. And the universal response to that was always the same. Oh, they don't really mean that.
Well,
it's like, yeah, they do.
To be fair, it is more complicated than just that. Equality, meaning equality of outcome, I believe in that too. Equity is what they changed it to, a lot of people on the far left, and Biden went along with all of it, means no, some people started out not from the same place, so we should make an effort to redress that. I believe in some of that theoretically, and some of it in how you would put it into practice. You can't just say, okay, let's, some people weren't even at the starting gate for the first 350 years, and now go. Of course, there's going to be remedial, I think, things that we can do, and we're doing many of them. We're doing some of them anyway. But do I think it means we should, like, make it that medical school is not something that you can only get into completely by merit? No, because no one wants a doctor who got there by affirmative action.
Yes.
Right, but you would count what I said to be valid, right? That you can't say if you started 300 years late, we expect you to be.
I guess this is one of the things that probably tilts me in the more conservative direction, and partly as a social scientist, is that well-meaning interventions seldom have the outcome that's designed.
Correct.
So even and it's really a
No, I
radical
would agree.
problem. Okay, so the historical solution to the problem of unequal distribution of, say, even of opportunity, is that everyone is treated the same under the law, regardless of anything, regardless of wealth, regardless of race,
Right.
age, status. It's the same. Now, obviously, there's elements of that appear unjust. So if you make $1 million a year and you get a $1,000 fine for speeding, that's a lot different than a $1,000 fine for someone who makes $12,000 a year. And so then you might say, well, maybe your fine should be income adjusted. Okay, but the problem with that is, like, okay, you're differentially privileged with regards to your wealth. Well, how many dimensions of differential privilege are there? And the answer to that is, well, there's as many dimensions as there are differences between people. And that's an infinite number of differential advantages and disadvantages. And so I'll give you an example that I think is quite germane. So there's obviously disparity in wealth. Well, one of the best predictors of wealth is age. Older people are richer. Well, why? Well, obviously, because they've had their whole life to work.
Race.
So Yeah, yeah.
Even more.
Okay, but let me make the case with this for a minute. Okay, so then you might say, well, it's very unfair that the old people have the money. It's like, yeah, fair enough, buddy. But the young people have the youth. And if I'm serious,
so
and if
true.
you took the old person
Right.
and said, look, you give me all your money.
Right.
I'm 18. You give me all your
Right.
money, and I'll be 65, and you get to be 18 and broke.
But would you actually take that bargain? Because I wouldn't. Even though I'm punching 70 in the mouth, I still wouldn't do it because my head would still be my 18-year-old head, and I just couldn't take any more of that. Your stupidity, or at least my stupidity at that age, caused so much pain, unnecessary pain in my life, that I would rather be this age.
Well, that's another sign of differential advantage, is you've got the disadvantages of being old, but now you're not quite as stupid. So,
Not quite.
that's
no,
right,
it's
right.
it's awesome not being stupid.
Yeah, right,
It
right.
just is awesome. There's like that old commercial, priceless. It's priceless not being fucking stupid.
What do you think is better about you now than when you were young?
I'm not fucking stupid. I
Well-
don't make stupid mistakes. I don't make that. I mean, I'm sure people would say, "Oh, Bill, you said this the other week, and I meant it, and it wasn't horrible."
Well, frequency and intensity also matter.
Also, I'm mixing dangerous chemicals every week, okay? I'm playing third base okay? I'm going to get more hard-hit grounders.
What Jordan Peterson just told him is 100% right. It's one of those things where there's always going to be privileges in life. You're not going to be able to stop that no matter what you do. Now they're focusing on race and gender at the moment, but there's going to be this discrepancies or privileges. Like rich people who grew up in a wealthy family, let's even say people that grew up with 2-parent households, they're going to have some privilege versus somebody who grew up dirt poor in a single mother household. If you grew up in dirt poor poverty, it's going to be harder to get out of dirt poor poverty. That's just a fact of life. Some people are better looking. Ever see good looking women, the privileges that they get? That's just part of life. It is what it is. There's going to be some privileges. But when you talk about stuff like affirmative action, you can make a point, and I'd even be willing to listen to it if you told me that in the 60s and 70s, right after the civil rights movement, to give a little bit of a push to certain communities might have been okay. I'd be willing to hear that argument. If you can make a good one, I might even agree with you. But not today. It doesn't work now. We're half a century or more past that now. Affirmative action, one, it's a racist law in itself because it, provides opportunities based on race to anybody who's pretty much not white or Asian, really. And that's what it's made for. These DEI people, this is what they want. They want to advance people who are not, in most cases, white male, to have these laws today. You're pretty much telling black people, minorities, that they can't make it on their own merits, that they need some sort of favoritism in order to compete with white people, which is absolutely ludicrous. There's countless examples today of black people without affirmative action succeeding at a very high level in every field, at every level. This policy is not necessary today. That's the conservative argument. And if you look at studies on this stuff, study will show you, one after the other, that affirmative action actually hurts a lot of black people. The left likes to talk about the dropout rate amongst blacks in university. Why do you think that is? You're lowering admission standards for black people and some other minorities. So you're setting them up for failure. You're putting them in a place where they cannot succeed, where they're not at that level. I'm not saying all people. I'm just saying a lot of people that are the beneficiaries of affirmative action. Whether you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. You should be placed in a university or a workplace or have a job that fits your skill level. Not saying you can't improve. Conservative people, not the left, but conservatives, we believe that black people are just as capable, this includes other minorities, to succeed without affirmative action, to be as good or better engineers, surgeons, policemen, firemen, businessmen, lawyers, doctors, nurses. Pick something, they can succeed without a problem. It's unnecessary to have these laws or these things like affirmative action. But if you say it as a conservative, you're called a racist. The irony of this, of course, is that those who accuse conservatives of being racist believe that blacks and other minorities also need things like affirmative action in order to succeed at the same level as white people. Again, I mentioned we're half a century or more removed from the civil rights movement. It's insane. I feel the same way when they talk about voter ID and they say, voter ID, if you're asking for voter ID, that's racist. Like conservative people, most conservative will tell you that in America, just like any other country, you should be able to provide an ID when you go vote. It keeps the election honest, at least more honest. But the left will tell you that you're racist for that. The left will argue that the whites have so much more privilege to have an ID Because what, black people don't have IDs? Voter ID is somehow preventing black people and minorities from voting because they aren't capable of acquiring a voter ID? How condescending is that? If you're a black person hearing that, you should be insulted. Because let's be real, you need an ID, right? To drive, to fly, to buy a beer, to purchase a home, to buy some medicines. What do you think, black people are not getting loans to buy a home? You think they're not driving or having beer on the weekend with their buddies? Or if they're sick, do you think they don't go to the hospital or buy medicine, fly and go on trips? Of course they do. It's mental. It's mental. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that thumbs up button for me. It really helps me out. If this is not your first time here and you're not subscribed, hopefully this is the video in which I can earn your subscription. Catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.